Apollo's Football Weekly on Real Radio 104.1.
The maiden voyage couldn't have gone much better. Your Orlando Apollos are 1-0 after grounding the Atlanta Legends 40-6 last Saturday night. And, of course, they are looking for more this weekend in San Antonio. Welcome to Apollo's Football Weekly. We are broadcasting from Topgolf Orlando on Universal Boulevard. I'm Jamie Seh, joined by my broadcast partner, Rene Ingoglia. And, Rene, we're talking about a great win tonight.
Yeah. No, you said it. I don't think the Apollos could have asked for a better opening week. We'll get Coach's thoughts here in a second, but I thought it was phenomenal. I thought the crowd was great. The weather wasn't, what we expected, and I think the fans still showed up. And the Alliance in a whole, I thought the weekend was phenomenal. I think the league's got to be ecstatic, and I can't wait for week 2.
Yeah, we're going to talk more about week 1 and week 2, and also bring in a special guest a little bit later on, wide receiver Jalen Marshall. But right now, we are so happy to be joined by the victorious head ball coach, Steve Spurrier. Coach Spurrier, so nice to have you. Get a nice round of applause from all the Apollos fans here at Topgolf. Coach, just your initial thoughts on the initial game of the Orlando Apollos.
I tell you what, Jamie, we did not know exactly what was going to happen. We hadn't played a real game. We had that practice game out in San Antonio about, 2 or 3 weeks ago. But, I think our guys played really well. Defense was outstanding after the first drive. Actually, Atlanta drove down there and got a field goal, so it was a come-from-behind victory. But after that, our defense was really outstanding. And offensively, we sputtered a little bit early in the game, missed a few balls here and there, had one maybe we could have caught. But anyway, Garrett got going after that. We had some guys open, and he hit them all. Garrett throws a beautiful pass.
Yeah.
Very easy to catch. We should not drop many of his passes because he throws a nice spiral, and it gets there with good timing and so forth. So it worked out pretty well. Fortunately, they went for that 4th and 1 right at the end of the first half. Yeah. And we were able to – we got a gracious penalty call, I think, got down there on about the 5 and threw the pass back to the quarterback to get ahead, 22
to
huge second quarter.
Yeah, 22-6, yep.
6 or so. And second half, we sputtered around a bit, but had the defensive score. And, of course, the defensive player of the week, Terrence Garvin.
Oh, wow.
Oh, gosh, he had 2 picks, 1 for a touchdown, and 11 tackles. So he definitely had a big-time ball game.
It seemed to me there were about 10 Terrence Garvins on the field Saturday night against Atlanta. What did you see from him in camp that maybe gave you an indication that he'd be capable of something like that?
Well, I'll tell you what was interesting, Jamie. I asked the defensive coaches, the practice game out there, who do you want to be captain? Well, it was Terrence Garvin was one of them. And then on offense, Jordan McCray, our center, was the other one. And we actually voted for captains. And Jordan and Terrence were also captains, along with Garrett Gilbert. And Will Hill, also our safety, was voted for captain this week. So these guys are good, steady players, good leaders, and really inspiration to the other players.
People around here know Jordan McCray because he was a standout at UCF.
Yeah.
What have you seen from Jordan and the offensive line, the protection that they gave Garrett the other night?
Yeah, Jordan's solid in there. We missed a few blocks here and there, but not too bad. But we don't know how good Atlanta is. They may not be very good, or they may come around and be a pretty good team. Who knows? But San Antonio, they won their practice game convincingly, and then they beat San Diego last week, held them to 6 points. So we got our hands cut out for us on offense especially. Yeah. And they say defense travels. So our defense needs to travel.
Yeah, we'll see, right, Coach?
If we're going to beat these guys.
Coach, I want to ask you now, personally, you hadn't been on the sideline for a few years. Back on the saddle, how was it?
Well, we had that practice game, so it was a little bit similar, to tell you the truth. You got your list of ball plays, you just fire them in there as fast as you can, and hopefully your team can execute them.
I'm curious now, Coach. You had a lot of success on the shallow crosses, the drags, if you will. Was that something you saw on film for Atlanta on defense, or is that in-game stuff we always talk about where coaches make adjustments from what you're seeing?
Well, that was one of our ball plays, and I always like to ask the quarterback, what are 5 or 6 pass patterns you really like? And Garrett said, I like that X drag, Coach. Yeah. I said, well, we'll call it early. So we called it about 4 or 5 times, and I said, they hadn't stopped it yet. Let's call it again. And our tight end sorted out.
Pick play on
he got
one.
a pick.
Yeah.
we try to get in the way of the guy covering him, but you can't give him a little elbow. So we got a penalty on one of them. But that was a good play. But we had a lot of other good plays here and there. Garrett could have hit some other guys, but overall, for the first time, he's had a full game pretty much in 5 or 6 years. He played very well.
Coach, just kind of as I was spectating, watching the game, it was a lot of fun. You treated us to a lot of fun football, starting with the Orlando Special. Now that it's been called the Orlando Special, but you've had that play in your back pocket for some time now, right?
And well, it's very similar to the play that Connor Shaw, my South Carolina quarterback, scored on in Orlando in the Capital One Bowl when we beat Wisconsin in, I think it was January 1st of 2014. So it was at least 5 years ago. And Connor handed off actually to Pharaoh Cooper, who came in motion. So it was a little different. And then he sort of messed around and then took off down the sideline. And Bruce Ellington, our wide receiver, got the flip, and he threw it back to him. So we thought it had a chance. In practice, it never worked. We can't hit any of our little special or trick plays against our defense. They seem to know everything we're doing, seems like. But we ran it 4 or 5 times, and finally we got it ironed out, and it was worth a shot. So our guys, all of them executed it very well.
Yeah, Jalen Marshall was the receiver that threw it to Garrett Gilbert. I found out today that Jalen used to be a high school quarterback.
Yeah, Jalen can throw. We found that out last week when we started practicing this play. And first time he threw it about 10 yards over Garrett's head. But we ironed it out and got everybody going in the right direction, and they executed it the way you draw it up.
I knew it was going to be a fun game on the very first play when Garrett Gilbert just
took that shot.
Took the shot downfield. Was that something in the plan? Just go for it and see if we catch him off guard.
Yeah, it was, but we didn't. Yeah, Bracey got way inside.
Yeah.
He was supposed to keep it outside and just a slight inside move, but. Yeah, I guess we didn't practice it enough. But we wanted to throw it deep.
Yeah.
I said, we're going to launch one. You know, we are the Apollos. We got to launch one.
And you got to keep that defense on their heels, right, Coach? Let them know you're going vertical.
Yeah, we got way inside, and Bracey did not run his best route. But he's fast. But we needed to keep it outside, and we're going to launch it way down sort of the right side of the field. But anyway, the only thing good about it, we didn't launch it. We didn't hit it. But we weren't even close to hitting it.
One thing I also loved is that so many guys got in the game and contributed, from the running backs to the wide receivers. That's got to please you when you see guys getting their opportunities and making the most of it.
Yeah, I believe, Jamie, you always got to let players play in the real game if you have a chance. And then you got to find out who your best players are. And I was telling Coach Willie Jackson, I said, we're going to San Antonio expecting a difficult, tough ball game. And we want our best players to play just about the whole game, unless they get hurt, get tired, or something like that. I mean, we're not into just letting everybody play, like sometimes in Little League ball. Well, everybody's going to play. But no, the object is to win the game, and the object is to play your best players most of the game. So we're trying to find out who our best players are.
We're going to talk more about the San Antonio Commanders. The Orlando Apollos take them on Sunday at 4 o'clock. Tune into Real Radio at 3:30 for the pregame show. But we got to take a time out. As we go to break, the Orlando Apollos would like to recognize our local business package partners for the inaugural 2019 season: Access Installations and Orlando Title Service. Become a local business partner today and get access to corporate perks and receive exclusive benefits as a sponsor of your Orlando Apollos. Contact Kyle Kashuk for more information at 727-692-0262 or kyle.kashuk at aaf.com. All right, Orlando Apollos Football Weekly has to take a timeout. Back with more Coach Spurrier after this on Real Radio 104.1.
We now return to the Apollos Football Weekly on Real Radio 104.1.
Welcome back inside Topgolf Orlando on Universal Boulevard. This is Apollos Football Weekly, your one-stop shop for all things Orlando Apollos, who got off to a terrific start Saturday night with a victory over the Atlanta Legends, and now they look to beat the San Antonio Commanders on Sunday, 4 o'clock. I'm Jamie Seh with my broadcast partner, Rene Ingoglia, and we are so happy to be joined by Apollos head coach, the head ball coach, Steve Spurrier. And Coach, before we get into San Antonio, how do you think the team adjusted to some of the different rules of the Alliance of American Football?
Well, Jamie, we've been practicing those rules for, 6-7 weeks. So we were ready for the rules. And I don't think we got a penalty for illegal defense. I think the other team got one or two. So Bob Sanders and our defensive coaches, we're going to play within the rules. And several of those teams have been trying to fudge on it.
Yeah.
And once you know the rules, it's pretty simple. So we played with we had about 8 or 9 penalties, but most of them were not because of the rules and so forth. But anyway, at one time I thought we should just play football. If they want to blitz 9 or 10 guys, well, that's football. But then they think it's going to help maybe the quarterback stay healthy, getting passes off, and this, that, and the other. So I'm all in with whatever rules we want to play by. And the 2-point after touchdown is a big thing. We made our first 2, and then we sort of messed up. We weren't very good after that. Hopefully we're going to be better than that in the future.
Yeah, I like the rule, though. I like how you have to go for 2.
I do, too. And, Coach, how about the speed of the game? How was that for you? 35. I loved it up there. 35-second play clock, and it just seemed like the refs were ready to go, spotting the ball, and let's play football.
Even with all the penalties in the game,
yeah.
I think that they had 10 and we had 8, something like that. It was 2 hours and 40. It was,
yeah.
And we're shooting for 2:30. And with the 35-second clock, you get up there and go. There's not a lot of dead time like there is in most football games.
The only negative about the game was Marvin Bracey Williams suffered a broken bone in his wrist.
Yeah, Marvin had a difficult night.
Yeah.
He dropped a punt. It was sort of a wobbler. He didn't hold on to it, and then he dove for it, and the kid sort of hit his elbow. So he broke a bone in his forearm.
Okay.
I think he had surgery today. It came out very well. So Marvin, maybe late in the year, he could get back.
That would be great. He's a great kid. I used to cover him at Boone High School, and obviously so much speed he has. And last question about the first game. Just what are some of the things that you guys worked on in practice that maybe you didn't like, maybe that the average fan didn't see in the game, but you thought that needed tightening up?
I don't know what the defense worked on because we held them to 6 points. So our guys were very good. Shut out the second half and so forth. But we worked on a lot of things offensively. 2-point plays is something we got to get a lot better at. And but everything, blocking, throwing, catching, guys running good routes, this, that, and the other. So we had a lot to work on. But just as a coach, you try to get your team to get better and better each week. And hopefully you play your last game of the year is the best game you ever play. I was lucky enough at Florida in '96. We always say that. Play the best game of the season, your last game. And that was the year we beat FSU 52-20. So we definitely did it that year, that's for sure.
I love it. Coach, I love how you have recall about probably every single game you've coached. You remember who threw your first touchdown pass in what? Back in 1980, or was it Ben Bennett, or what was that? You were sharing a story on Monday during your press conference.
Well, they were talking about when was the first time your quarterback caught a touchdown pass, and I started thinking back. Well, let's see. Well, maybe 1980. I remember we're playing Clemson at Clemson, and we had a huge upset. But anyway, Ben Bennett handed off to the running back going to the right. Then how you sort of carry out a little bootleg.
Yep.
And he ran about 10 yards, and they all ran over there with him, and he pulled up and threw it back to Ben. Ben Bennett lives in Orlando, by the way. And Ben was sort of I really liked him, but he had a little cockiness to him. So what did he do when he caught it? He flashed the ball at the linebacker running over there. Nowadays, he would have got a toning penalty, but they let him get away with it back then. But anyway, that was sort of Ben. But he's a great guy, wonderful guy, and a heck of a player. Yeah. He was the all-time leading passer in college football history after the '83 season. He was a 4-year starter at Duke, played a little bit pro ball, but he lives down here in Orlando now, and heck of a guy.
That's great. And now Garrett Gilbert is the latest quarterback to have caught a touchdown for head coach Steve Spurrier. And one more time, what was the locker room like after the first win? Because there's a lot of pressure to win game number 1.
Yeah, there's a little pressure to win game 1 when you're favored and this, that, and the other. You don't know exactly what's going to happen. No, our locker room was not complete celebration. It was, we believe in small celebrations. And when you have a good play, something good happens, okay, we'll have a small one and then get on about our business. And I think our team handled it very well. It was a small celebration, and we feel like we can play better, and I think we can. And the big test, the first big test is this week. San Antonio, they've won both their games. They're at home. They led the league in attendance the first week. So they're expecting over 30,000 at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio this week.
Coach, defensively, since that's the unit you're going to be going up against, coached by Jim Grobe, I'm sure you know him well, longtime coach at Wake Forest, defensive coordinator for San Antonio. That defensive unit had 6 sacks. They got after Burkovici, the quarterback for San Diego, held Mike Martz's offense to 6 points. So what do you see from that defensive unit? They look aggressive.
Yeah, it is interesting. I didn't even know he was their defensive coordinator about a week or so ago. I didn't see him out there when we were practicing and this, that, and the other. But, yeah, he's a good friend. He plays in the Chick-fil-A golf tournament all the time when he coached at Wake Forest, and I was coaching at South Carolina. And then they had what they call the legend coaches. So he was back last year, and I was back playing with Bobby Stoops. But anyway, yeah, he's a wonderful guy. And they won the ACC championship at Wake Forest. And we actually won one at Duke. So we sort of reminisce about each of us winning at a school that may never win that again.
Right.
So we got something to sort of compliment each other about. But he's a heck of a good guy. And their defense plays fundamentally as sound as you'll ever see one. They're where they're supposed to be in all their coverages, and they really watch a quarterback, do a super job in their zone, and we got to really be sharp if we're going to move the ball on these guys.
The head coach of San Antonio is Mike Riley, a guy who's been in this game for a long time in the NFL and especially in college. Coach, do you know Coach Riley at all?
I know him a little bit, but he's more of a West Coast guy, and I'm an East Coast guy, so we've never had a game against each other. I did have a chance to go to Nebraska when I left South Carolina to watch a game out there. They had game day out there, and they asked me to come out and piddle around with ESPN or something like that, but I had a chance to watch the ball game, and it was a tremendous atmosphere there at Nebraska. They had a big upset over Michigan State that night. But I saw him a little bit in San Antonio. Wonderful guy, and he's got a really good team.
You know, we always talk about when you go on the road, it's difficult because you're going into a hostile crowd, but also, your players aren't sleeping in their own beds. Is it a little different situation for this team because they spent so much time in San Antonio in training camp? Yeah,
it won't be difficult. We're sort of a road team anyway.
Yeah.
We're staying at the hotel here, the DoubleTree. Downtown, and the Residence Inn, a bunch of the coaches, a few players are over there also. So we're going to be a road team through the end of the season in different hotels and so forth. And our guys have adapted very well, and we're very flexible.
Okay, Coach, we're going to let you go in a second, but I just want to know, what are your keys? What are your keys to a win on Sunday against San Antonio?
Well, pass protection and taking care of the ball. I've been really proud of our guys. We haven't had a turnover offensively in 2 games, actually. The practice game, we actually took care of the ball pretty well. I think our defense will play well, but we got to wait and see. We don't know how good we are or how good the other teams are. We got to play a bunch of games. I think midway in the season, we'll have a good idea on what teams are going to be contending for the championship. And certainly that's our goal, to be one of those teams and try to play our best game, the last game of the season. And we're hoping that'll be in the championship game.
But I can tell you what, Coach, you guys created a definite buzz here in Orlando after Game 1 in defeating Atlanta 40-6. So congratulations again.
Well, thank you, Jamie. And, I think the rain or the threat of rain sort of held the crowd down maybe the other night. But we appreciate all the coverage the radio, the TVs, the newspapers have given us. Some of the other teams have not received near the coverage that we have. So all of our guys realize we got a wonderful opportunity. We're going to try to make the most of it.
Awesome. We're just so happy to have football in Orlando. Thank you so much, Coach.
All right, thank you.
All right, that's the head ball coach, Steve Spurrier, previewing Sunday's game against the San Antonio Commanders. Don't forget to tune in to Real Radio 104.1 for the game broadcast. Our pregame coverage starts at 3:30. We've got much more to come on Apollo's Football Weekly.